Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times this Sunday, October 3, 2021. For today's editorial, hazing imparts wrong values and justifies violence. Policymakers should investigate why hazing persists despite a law prohibiting it and overwhelming public abhorrence against such barbaric traditions. We may need a public discourse and deep reflection on this issue given the assumption that the problem cannot be resolved unless it is first identified and understood. Hazing is back in the national spotlight because of a recent incident at the Philippine National Police Academy or PNPA. George Carl Magsayo, a 21-year-old third-class cadet from Pagadian City, was punched several times by a fellow student for some infraction. The victim lost consciousness and was later pronounced dead at a hospital. The tragedy is not limited to the victim. The life and career of the cadet accused, Steve Cesar Maingat, are now also in shambles. He likely faces time in jail rather than a bright career. That twist of fate should not appease those sympathetic to the dead victim. Cadets attending an institution such as the PNPA were all screened and identified as exemplary young individuals. Not everyone who applies is accepted, only those with exceptional academic achievements and leadership potential. What went wrong? Since Mr. Maingat was junior to the victim, investigators should also investigate whether the suspect was hazing on behalf of some upperclassmen. If this theory is correct, those seniors must face prosecution, as their actions may be more sinister. But to our point, their careers will similarly be derailed. So, did the Academy transform promising cadets into murderers? Of course, the PNPA system is meant to produce officers who serve and protect. That school, like other institutions, even has a policy against hazing. Is there something wrong with the system? In fairness to the PNPA, hazing also happens in other institutions. In fact, the law against hazing mentions fraternities, sororities, and other social organizations that have been practicing hazing as a tradition, despite strict policies prohibiting it. But even elite institutions such as the Philippine Military Academy and reputable universities here and abroad have only diminished the problem, but not eradicated it. The anti-hazing law seems tough enough, and infractions are swiftly addressed by incumbent leaders, even in the PNPA case. Police Chief Guillermo Lorenzo Eleazar spoke strongly against hazing, and he has already replaced the PNPA director. We applaud this move. Leaders should not be spared from command responsibility. But can anything else be done? For starters, we should keep asking this question, long after the current case of the PNPA fades away from the news. Knowing the problem. It may be argued that society does not actually understand the problem, which is why the law and institutional level policies have failed to stop hazing entirely. Perhaps hazing is a symptom of a deeper issue. We should re-examine our values and ask ourselves uncomfortable questions in order to grasp why such brutality continues to lurk in the shadows and out of public view. We should explore the possibility that violent acts such as hazing may be more ingrained in our culture and traditions than most people would like to admit. Some religious traditions, for example, may appear violent to some people, but to the faithful, they are just acts of penitence and demonstration of religious devotion. Also, some indigenous cultures have a tradition of testing the manhood of its young members, perhaps as a rite of passage, or some test imposed by a woman's parents on their daughter's suitor seeking their consent to marriage. Some might argue that what we suggest is a mere philosophical exercise, but it would not be a waste of time. Even if one concludes that the violence is part of human nature, mindsets and traditions can change. Culture and norms evolve, just like everything else. In the end, society should impart better values to people, especially the young. In a civilized society, we need every person to take a clear stand that hazing and similar acts of violence are neither legal nor harmless. Hazing demeans a person and rationalizes certain acts of violence as a necessary evil. Such twisted notions may be likened to corrosives that threaten even the mightiest structures. And that's editorial for Sunday, October 3, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.